towards the objective of black independence, we quickly realize that we cannot have as a primary objective the accumulation of the American dollar. We have to be honest with ourselves as to what is the actual value of a dollar. I like to encourage our people to think and not simply regurgitate what somebody told them. So by asking simple questions, we are supporting the operation of the thinking faculty. You can begin by asking yourself the following question. If I have $1 and someone else has a pound of tomatoes, who has more wealth? The simple way to figure out the answer is to find out how much money you need to buy a pound of tomatoes. If the pound of tomatoes is less than $1, you have more wealth. But if the pound of tomatoes is more than $1, the person with the tomatoes has more wealth. So the bottom line is that resources are more valuable than money. If I have the resource, I don't have to buy it. I don't even have to consider money. I don't have to consider money at all if I have the necessary resources to provide all the daily needs of my family and my community. I remember seeing a documentary some years ago on an African village that, according to the Europeans filming the documentary, were among the poorest people in the world. But as I watched the documentary, I started questioning how those Europeans could come to the conclusion that these people were so impoverished. These people had land, water, clothes, homes, food, medicine, tools, weapons, family, community, leadership. And on top of all that, they didn't have to pay any taxes to their enemies or anyone else for that matter. So they had everything they needed to thrive as a people. The only thing they didn't have were the white man's money and the white supremacy amenities. In other words, they were independent. So I began to ask myself, who determines the standard of wealth that we all, including the conscious among us, tend to measure ourselves against? We have money and amenities, but we don't have the resources necessary to survive and thrive as a people independent of Intuaku, or what y'all would call the devil. But looking at things through the eyes of a European, we say all the time that we are the wealthiest black people in the world because we have more of the white man's dollars than most other black people in the world. Now, I know you might be thinking that I'm misinformed, that black people in America have houses and land and businesses and other stuff. But ask yourself what would happen if you didn't pay the taxes to live in the house and on the land that you worked so hard to acquire. To help you understand the significance or insignificance of money, we can look at the area I live in, the DMV. That's the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, for those of you that don't know. As a side note, some of you may not be aware of just how riggedy raw DC and Baltimore was in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And some areas are still pretty rowdy, as you may have seen during the recent Baltimore riots. The most affluent black county in America is Prince George's County, Maryland. Let me repeat that one more time. The most affluent black county in America is Prince George's County, Maryland. Prince George's County, Maryland is situated between Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, Maryland. With all the affluence of Prince George's County, Baltimore, Maryland has one of the highest levels of poverty in the United States. How can Baltimore, that's located so close in proximity to this affluent black county, be so impoverished? That's the first question. The second question is that with all the so-called affluence of Prince George's County, did you know that according to the Washington Post, as late as 2010, and I'm quoting, when it came to foreclosures, Prince George's County was still ground zero in Maryland. The county with the highest foreclosure rate in Maryland was Prince George's County. I didn't say Baltimore County. I said Prince George's County, the most affluent black county in America. So we need to reevaluate our position that our independence is going to be based solely or primarily on the dollar. In the 70s, my father purchased a 3-bedroom duplex in Prince George's County, Maryland for $18,000. Those same houses today are upwards of $200,000. It's the same house. It's not that the house is worth more today than it was in the 70s. The dollar is actually worth less. 2 words. But it's really worthless. 1 word. When I was meditating a couple of weeks ago about the whole Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey School possibly being a scam to simply raise money, I didn't say that, but that's what some haters, I believe, were saying. It came to me while I was in meditation that with all these Ponzi and pyramid schemes, scams, and other so-called scandals, perhaps we should try another route as far as donations go. Perhaps instead of always asking for and donating money, we should ask for tangible independence resources. I said we should ask for tangible independence resources. Resources such as cement, bricks, wiring, drywall, 2x4s, hammers, nails, screws, screwdrivers, shovels, guns, and more guns and ammunition, books, food, coats, shoes, your expertise, and your time. But the list can go on and on and on as far as what we can donate. And since we have such difficulty trusting ourselves and each other with money, we can simply donate all those things that are needed to build what we want to build. We just pointed out how resources are more valuable than $1 anyway. Besides, if you donate $1 to my cause and then you see me going to buy a sandwich, you're going to say, that nigga just bought that sandwich with my donation money. I knew I shouldn't have given that nigga no damn money. But I can't buy a sandwich with a brick. I might be able to take a sandwich with a brick, but I can't buy one with a brick. So, let's think outside of the box of what we've been taught to regurgitate. This has been Daku Akabo Wakatu.